Hello and welcome to New England for the AMA Motocross Championship presented by FMF. It's Motocross Lites here today at Southwick Motocross National. It's Suzuki Motocross 338 National presented by Scott USA. Motocross 338, what's that? Well, it's named for the American Legion Post 338 here. And unlike a year ago, David Pingree, conditions are beautiful. I'm Brian Drebber. Aaron Bates will be working with us. Put a little extra water on the track, but man, it's nice here today.
Yeah, it's surprising that they're even having to throw water down. It's been raining all week long. The temperatures are cool, a little bit breeze going through. Normally this place is brutal. It's so hot and humid here normally, but with the weather we've had, the track's in great shape. Here's a little clip from last week. That's Josh Grant making a mistake, letting Ryan Villopoto go by on his way to the front of the pack.
Villopoto earning his first ever national win, a very happy young man at round number 2 of the Motocross Lites Championship with the number 51 Kawasaki with a look back. And a celebration at the checkered flag, Ryan Villopoto realizing the tremendous potential that he has.
That's right. He got his first win, and I was talking to him a little bit about confidence this week, and he's got some interesting theories.
And we heard from him as well.
If you go to the line and you think you can win, yeah, I mean, you know you can win. And some guys just, it just can't happen right now anyways. So it's kind of like there's about two or three guys that can win the races this year, and I think I'm one of them. And I just got to make it happen for me.
Jason Lawrence, another pretty interesting story, and a young man who's really rolling the dice big time. Let's go to Aaron Bates.
Well, the pressure might be on a little bit this weekend coming into Southwick. He made his debut here last year racing. I'm talking none other than the number 338, Jason Lawrence. But Jason, last year you did really well here. This year you got a little bit of extra added pressure on your shoulders, because if you get 1-1, Scott Sepkovic of Monster Energy has made a bet with Davey Coombs of Racer X, you get the cover. You got any extra added pressure on your shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's all that stuff, and then last year being a rookie, there was no real expectations, but now, I mean, I'm on a good team. I have all the stuff I need to win the race, so there's really no excuse now. I have the experience. I've been here. The track's good right now, and I think I should be able to do it.
What is it going to take to make it happen today?
I'm definitely going to need a good start, something I kind of struggled with, but we worked on it, and I just went out in my qualifier, and I got a good start there. So, I mean, hopefully I can just put that 2 good starts and then just ride strong the whole moto. I should be top 3.
Jason Lawrence, riding for Rockstar, making it happen here at Southwick.
Well, he needs to start with running a brush for that here, and I think once he gets through that, though, this kid's got a ton of talent, and he's shown that. He's shown flashes of speed, had some great results. He's just not putting in the work right now. That's what a lot of people think, to run up front. And when he does, a lot of people think he's going to start winning races.
Well, he's going to have to win against the likes of Andrew Short and Ryan Villopoto and the number 123 Brett Metcalfe, and of course Michael Essie, and not even leaving out Grant Langston, who's riding injured this year, as we have seen him struggling with injuries. Lap times, Villopoto, the man leading the way here with McFarlane on the Yamaha. Kyle Chisholm showing some impressive speed.
It's no surprise to see Ryan Villopoto the fastest guy. He's done that already a few times this year, but Michael Essie not anywhere in the top 5.
And that is unusual. Of course, he always relies on a great start, which we heard Jason Lawrence say that he needs. Of course, a great start helps everyone, no matter where you are in the field. As we take a look at our Honda starting lineup here for the Motocross Lites division. And the course here at Southwick, even though it is early in the weekend at this point, has already begun to show some wear and tear.
Well, yeah, they had an amateur day and practice on Saturday. The track got really rough, and one thing that's unique about this track, it's deep, deep sand. It's like beach sand, and they don't prep it. They absolutely left it exactly the way it was. All the bumps, the ruts, everything's still there. So the track's already brutally rough.
Gate drops, and of course this Oklahoma land rush here in New England to turn number 1. The whole shot award put up by Racer X. It's always an interesting subplot in this one, and it's Kyle Chisholm taking it. Oh, and look at this. Not everybody gets through turn. Not everyone gets through the turn in good shape.
That's championship contender Mike Brown. Looks like Jay Marmont's down as well.
So a lot of guys going to be picking their bikes up and starting off poorly. Marmont there on the number 111, the last guy to get it going. Meanwhile, we go up to the front of the field here, and Kyle Chisholm is the whole shot man, and he's still out in front.
You don't see a lot of privateers getting whole shots. That is very, very strange, very unique. He's out front riding great. Alessi's there, that's no big surprise. Zach Osborne, the young KTM rider up front. He had a good ride up in Hangtown, Things didn't go so well at High Point, but here he is back up front again.
Alessi taking over the lead from our whole shot winner, Kyle Chisholm, on the 732. Now the number 800 Alessi is there. Zach Osborne will be on a number 168 KTM, so watch for him. Oh, and that is not going to be a save right there for Osborne.
He went forehead first into that tree right there. It's lucky he's getting up.
I don't know if he hit the tree, but he got awful close to it there. He had both ends swapped a full 180 from each other. And that left Mike Alessi now and Kyle Chisholm all alone. Big gap behind him.
This race is very unique in that it's the only sand race that we have all year long. So guys that grew up riding in the sand, guys from Florida, such as Kyle Chisholm, rides in Florida all the time with James Stewart. They get very, very used to the sand down there. So those guys are going to excel. Andrew McFarland, the Australians, they ride in sand a lot down there. So the guys that are comfortable in this stuff are going to excel today.
Andrew Short running in 4th position. And we're going to take another look at that end-swapping act by 168 Zach Osborne. We already told you he did not save it. Watch this.
Oh, the back end just gets kicked one way and then the other. And there was no saving that one from the get-go.
What in the world causes the bike to swap in so violently like that?
Well, these bumps are so big. For one, your suspension, if you're turning, when you hit one of those, it compresses in and it wants to release all that energy back the other way. So it goes one way, hits the ground, then it wants to go back the other way. It's swapping out is a pretty common deal in racing, and a track this rough, you're going to see it more than once.
And we are seeing a lot of rough track here. The number 124, Andrew McFarland, engaged in a pretty serious battle here. 4th position, and there's a lot of that deep sand that's getting kicked up all over the place here at Southwick.
And a couple of things are happening here that you got to keep in mind. For one, just like a mud race, your goggles go away really quick in the sand. The sand's getting thrown up, it's covering them, you're blowing through tear-offs. And a lot of times, what these guys will do, I know Kenny Adams from Dragon used to always take some Vaseline and run it underneath the bottom of the frame. And what that does, if you do have a crack where your face isn't sealed up against the foam real tight and the sand gets in there, that Vaseline holds onto it so it doesn't bounce up and down and get into your eyes. So there's a lot of precautions, a lot of things they do to the bike, foam and different things to keep sand from packing up the radiators. But at the end of the day, the sand is just hard on the bikes, it's hard on the riders. It's a very, very difficult race here.
Yamaha mechanics watching the progress here as McFarland continues to battle with Short. And meanwhile, out in front, Mike Alessi still holding on, and more impressively, holding on to the number 2 spot is Kyle Chisholm.
Yeah, this is impressive on Kyle's part. I don't think anyone really knows who he is, but he's obviously been great in the amateur ranks, and now he's making his presence felt in the pro racing.
Well, Aaron Bates has dug up a little more of the story on the 732.
Well, the kid that you're going to want to keep your eye on is number 732 of Kyle Chisholm. He lives in Florida, but is racing the Canadian Nationals, but he's making an appearance here at Southwick, the same as what he did last year. Last year, his best finish was a 16th place, and he's hoping to improve on it. Running in 2nd right now, hoping to keep it on 2 wheels. You know, it's kind of interesting because John Dowd's mechanic is here, and he's the exact same mechanic that Kyle Chisholm's mechanic is. It may be illegal for the guys to race in both classes, but apparently the mechanics are able to do just that.
Well, this young rider definitely, he's going to have to lose a lot of positions to not better his 16th place finish last year. Running in 2nd behind Alessi, and there's quite a bit of a margin between 2nd and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, no, like I said, a lot of guys from Florida or guys that are used to the sand will do well. You also get a lot of the local guys here. That's another phenomenon that happens. And Tony LaRusso is a guy who will go blowing by you, and you're like, LaRusso? Who's this way? Mike Treadwell. There's a bunch of guys. Pooh Grab, you know, the local guys that are used to this sand, they're used to this track, they'll come out and impress, get enough points to score themselves a national number.
Well, now Andrew Short on the factory Honda, making his presence known. So Chisholm's tenure in the runner-up spot may be short-lived, but he's held on for quite a while. He's still holding Andrew Short off. Short with a little bit of an issue right there, takes a different line to try to make up some ground, but Chisholm's doing a great job in the deep sand here at Southwick.
You've got to kind of make a run on a guy here. You can't just sit right on his wheel for lap after lap. You'll cover yourself with sand. You get sand in your mouth. You can't breathe. You got to kind of sneak up on him quick and make the pass fast.
That's what Andrew Short just did. He was stalking Chisholm for a while. He's made the pass. Let's see if he can make it stick, or whether that number 732 Kawasaki is going to come back and fight for 2nd place. So Chisholm now passed for 2nd. He got the whole shot, was passed for the lead by Mike Alessi. Now he's lost 2nd to Andrew Short. ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. Here at the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship by FMF. It is a great battle now with Mike Alessi having been caught by Andrew Short. So these two are going to go after first place on the racetrack. Kyle Chisholm slipping back but holding on to third spot.
It looks like Shorty's a little faster, you know. Alessi didn't have one of the fastest lap times in practice, and maybe he's struggling a little bit with the sand. Like I said, this track's incredibly rough, so you got to be strong, you got to be fit. It's the most physically demanding track on the circuit for sure. So looks like Shorty's got a little momentum going right now, and I don't know if I had to bet on a guy, it'd be number 29 right now.
Well, and you said you have to kind of sneak up on your opponent here at this one. So Short has been slowly approaching leader Mike Alessi. Alessi knows he's there, so it's not a mystery or any sort of unknown quantity right now. As they get into a little bit of traffic already here at Southwick, this track is really going to separate the contenders from the also-rans, that's for sure. Short taking a very different line, still chasing after Mike Alessi and trying to keep out of the sand, trying to keep the sand off of himself.
Yeah, the worst spot is coming out of a turn. You'll see Alessi come into a berm, and as he pivots and accelerates right there, you see it just throw a whole big blanket of sand on Short. And he'll do that in every single turn if he's right on him like that. So he's got to either make a pass quick or settle a little bit, see how the race develops. If Alessi starts getting tired, then try to get up and zap him. Looks like he's just going to try to make it happen quick.
Trying to cross behind the wheel pads there and stay out of the roost as much as possible. Andrew Short of the number 29 factory Honda, the 800 of Mike Alessi, the KTM. And the man who's always a contender, especially in the early part of a race. He's such a great starter. Short makes a big, wide berm turn around the outside. Alessi just parked it down on the low side and lost the lead.
Shorty definitely is good at carrying momentum. It's one of his strong points, and he flew around that outside. I don't think he ever let off the gas.
Well, let's see if he starts to ride a more defensive line now, begins to throw a little dirt on Alessi.
I don't think Alessi's got the pace to stick with him right now. He's already starting to gap him, and looks like he's going to just check out of this one.
Well, it certainly looks like practice times are telling part of the tale. Another look at the pass. Look at Short. He's on a mission.
Yeah, he just rails around the outside, carries a lot more momentum. Alessi's got to go inside. You can't do the stop and go thing here at this track. The sand doesn't let you accelerate. Your wheel just spins. So the guys that can carry a lot of momentum, use a lot of outside lines here, or carry your momentum around the inside like Short did there, those are the guys that do well here.
Andrew Short letting the bike do a little dance underneath him here. Mike Alessi now trying to do everything he can to hold on to second position, and Short is indeed pulling away from him there in spite of all the urging on by the KTM mechanics for Alessi.
And one thing you'll see, we got Ryan Villopoto.
Last week's winner out of the race, and you can tell that he is very, very disappointed and doesn't really want to have anything to say, even to his own mechanics and to the AMA officials there. He just wants to get out of town.
I'm not sure what happened there. That looks like obviously a mechanical. He's not being able to get that thing going.
No problems for Andrew Short on the number 29 factory Honda. Caught and passed Mike Alessi and made it look pretty easy. So while Andrew Short leads this one, we're still scratching our heads a little bit to find out what happened to Ryan Villopoto, but now Aaron Bates is with him.
Ryan having some complications. What took place out there?
I don't really know. I just, I got a good jump out the gate, and then I think I spun on the concrete and fell in the first turn. But other than that, I was coming through the pack. I think I was in 12th, John said, and just some bike problems. And I guess we'll just have to come back for next moto and see what we can do.
For your group, good luck for Moto 2.
It's about all you can do is wish a young man like that good luck next time around. That's racing.
Yeah, I mean, he just needs to get back to the truck, wash off his dirt beard that he's got going, and try to get some points in second moto.
And here's Grant Langston also on a Kawasaki. Langston been riding with injuries already earlier this season. He's in 7th position right now. We'll chart his progress as you take a look at the Toyota leaderboard.
Get the last word on 2000.
Our flashbacks are always amusing, but in this particular case, it will be even more amusing for my broadcast partner, David Pingree. Look for the number 35. That's not why we're showing you this flashback, but there he is.
I'm buried in there somewhere, that's for sure.
No, buried in the lead, my good friend. Number 35 out in front right now. Why are we showing you Southwick from the year 2000? Because a racer named Travis Pastrana was able to pick up his first ever national win.
Oh, it's Ernesto Fonseca out front. It's good to see him, too.
And the number 711 Talon Volan. A lot of names from the not-so-distant past here. Racing hard at Southwick in the sand. The track's pretty much the same. Only the names have changed a little bit. There's the number 199, Travis Pastrana. First ever national win in the 125 class.
Well, in typical Travis fashion, they're just about killing Talon Volan. But he moves in the sand. He's always liked it. So it's no surprise he got his first win that day.
And of course, the celebrations became more involved and intricate, and the legend of Travis Pastrana began growing, you might say, there with Roger DeCoster alongside, of course, the ever-present Suzuki team manager. Mike Alessi on the number 800 KTM. Trying to deal with the deep sand here. He's got himself a battle going for the runner-up spot once he was passed by Andrew Short.
Well, Shorty's kind of checked out, but now Mike's got his hands full with the YOT guys, and here comes Andrew McFarland and Brent Metcalfe.
Well, we're used to seeing these the two of them. If you see one, you're going to see them both, typically. The 123 and 124 Yamahas of Troy.
And things get real interesting here the last half of the motos at Southwick. A lot of the national tracks, they've got sections where they're smooth, there's flat straightaways you can sit down and rest and recover. Whoa!
Down he goes. Andrew McFarland on his Yamaha just augered in.
Kept it running, that's key. I don't even think he lost a position.
Might have lost one, but in any case, damage minimal there as Grant Langston comes up behind him.
Well, anyway, I was saying, at a lot of these national tracks, you can kind of recover if you start to get tired and make another charge. At Southwick, there's no break. You're standing almost the whole track. If you sit down, you get punished worse because the bumps just go straight into your back. You'll hear guys complaining about how their backs are tired. They lost their back and went out. This track is brutal physically. And you'll see the guys who aren't fit. Funny that we cut to Jason Lawrence. You'll see guys who aren't fit just start to make their way backwards.
Jason Lawrence working hard with Grant Langston, who is still riding with a nagging injury that's bothering him, clearly, or else the former 125 champ would be right up there in the mix with the leaders, no doubt. But yes, Southwick provides a lot of interesting racing, and physical conditioning is very, very important. We're going to take another look here at the number 124, Andrew McFarland.
I don't know, maybe he didn't have his V8 that day. It just looked like he fell over to me.
Well, he got a dab down, got a foot down, got it tucked back up behind him, and then just went in shoulder first. More embarrassing than harmful, you might say. Alessi now, still in a fight for second position.
There he goes.
And with Brent Metcalfe on the 123, pulls up alongside briefly. Alessi still holding the spot, but these two are not done.
Well, Alessi doesn't give you a spot easy, that's for sure. He fights for it. Metcalfe's gonna have to earn this pass.
Brent Metcalfe makes his home in California, but the Australian on the number 123 Yamaha of Troy. Mike Alessi still holding on to the runner-up spot. Andrew Short way out in front, while battles go on behind him for position. And we already have another withdrawal from the race. Let's go to Aaron Bates.
Well, as of this moment, as the moto is winding down, you're going to notice the very last of the Kawasaki Pro Circuit bikes are being wheeled off. That's the number 8 of Grant Langston, a very disappointing moto. Not the way he wanted to start this weekend off, that's for sure. He's looking to pick it up right where he left off here last year, but even more so, disappointing first moto for Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
Wow, at this point, you know, Troy Adams has crashed out of the race, couldn't get restarted. Villopoto's bike had a problem, now Grant's. Mitch Payton has got to be back in the truck, just absolutely pulling his hair out. I can't even imagine.
Well, it's going to be difficult for a team owner used to the kind of success that Mitch Payton has become accustomed to deal with all three of your riders out of this 125 race.
Well, he demands excellence from his riders and his team, and he demands it of himself in his motorcycles. So to see him have, you know, a couple of DNFs in the same moto, man, you know, they can tell how his day is going by how tall his hair is because he runs his fingers through his hair when he's stressed out. I'll bet that thing's standing like a two-story building right now.
Final lap for our contenders. Brent Metcalfe, Mike Alessi still going after second and third positions here. And McFarland has rejoined the party. Alessi just holding on by the narrowest of margins. It is just hanging on to the runner-up spot right now.
You can see him getting just beat up. Gerke's jumping into the battle there, but You got to give it to Alessi, man. This kid's a fighter. He's so tenacious. He's been being hounded this whole moto by those guys, and he's just not giving it up. He's going to hang on to it.
It is Matt Gerke who did take the position away from McFarland after he augured in. Here's your leader, Andrew Short, in case you forgot what the big number 29 on his back looked like. And he has been riding so well here in the early part of the season, picking up from the tail end of last year in the indoor season, and has really been a factor.
And if you wonder about why their backs are getting so tired, Andrew's cruising now, but if you watch these guys, they stand up around the entire track. The sweepers have such big bumps in them, you've got to constantly just be pulling on the front wheel, keeping it light, and standing on the pegs the whole time.
Andrew Short did it all correctly and earns the win, Moto 1. From Hartford, Connecticut, and very near to the birthplace of the game of basketball, we're in Southwick. And Moto number 1 has ended with Andrew Short on the factory Honda taking the win. Mike Alessi fighting for everything he had to take the number 2 spot as we look at our Suzuki results.
You see the local guys there, Chris Poograb, he's another guy from the New England area.
Let's go to Aaron Bates.
Brett, you came here a week early. You raced the amateur race last weekend, and you actually sweeped all 4 motos. You were able to come in here. Obviously, that extra time on this track paid off.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, last week was great, and I think it was just good to learn the track backwards first year, and I really enjoy the track. It's really rough, and I love rough, sandy tracks, so hopefully second moto I get a little better start and can battle up front a little bit more.
Well, Mike Alessi stating at Mount Morris that as soon as that race was finished, he was heading for the sand. Mike, you came straight here. You were training with John Dowd here in the sand track. Didn't quite work out as how you expected.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was still a good ride. You know, I got second. I got points over the guys I needed to get points over, so nothing to complain about. You know, it's a gnarly race, and second moto is going to be tough for sure.
Well, let's take a look at our Racer X hole shot. We got a very good look. Number 732, Kyle Chisholm, because not only did he get the hole shot, but he held on for quite a while as well.
Well, I got to say there was a lot of people on the list to win here at Southwick. Andrew, you were not one of those people that was picked on that list. How are you able to turn your luck around this weekend?
You know, like you said, I've had a rough start, and the first 2 races didn't go how I wanted to, but I came out strong today, and I got a decent start and just rode strong, so I'm looking forward to the second moto.
Well, a little bit of track maintenance going on, and while it's happening, we want to remind you that nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member. How about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA, rights, riding, and racing here at Southwick. Between the motos, last week we told you the entire pro circuit story, how owner Mitch Payton went from a struggling Husqvarna shop to the most successful factory support team in the paddock. But that's not the whole story. New development and programs may be on the horizon for the pro circuit team, and Payton has been toying with the idea of playing ball in the motocross class.
We would love to field a team. You know, a long time ago, we never said we would do that. You know, like I always thought we would stay 125 and just stay there and do that. I think the landscape changed a little bit, and I look at Factory Connection runs 125 and 250, and we've lost some talent. We've lost a lot of riders' talent, but even personnel to some of the factories, and I think it would be a good avenue for us to keep more of our staff longer and give them opportunities, you know. So I think it's exciting to think about racing the factories head to head, and we really don't, I mean, we don't need anything that they got. We'll make it.
And if we had the funding, not a problem. I know I could be competitive in that class with its talent and money.
I don't want to be a participant, you know, like I don't think it's, like I couldn't come here if I thought we were just going to field some guys and run around the track, pat them on the back, yeah, all right, see you next week. To me, that's like not happening. You're here for a reason, you know, and I would like to try to win.
You can tell he's a serious competitor, but with all seriousness aside, there is a lighter side to Mitch Payton. Known as a hard worker with a dedicated staff to match, Mitch still takes the time to joke around and have fun. A good prank is always on the menu.
Practical jokes? I think I just like laughing, you know, so I guess I've always been that way where it's fun to just jack around a little bit. Been tied to trees, been put on top of cars. I've had everything done. put in a trunk.
We locked him in the bathroom one day at the old shop. I think I've told this story before, but it's still a good one. He was messing around with us, so he went in the bathroom one time and we took a big heavy-duty rope, tied it to the door handle and to a post so he couldn't get out. Well, he ended up prying the door open just enough to stick a plunger handle into the door, so he was screaming at us through the crack in the door. So we took a fire extinguisher and blasted it in through the crack in the door, not thinking very well. And then we realized that the fire extinguisher took all the oxygen out of the air and he couldn't breathe. That's probably one of the more innocent ones.
Mitch has a real good sense of humor. And probably the best prank we ever pulled on Mitch is we put him on top of the Scott USA van and we drove through a McDonald's drive-thru.
We used to get little Briggs and Stratton go-karts. We'd have them at the shop, and 6 o'clock when the shop would close down, we'd ride them around outside and bang into each other. We had little YSR mini bikes that we would do that on, and Mitch got taped to one night, and he was out there doing lap times and riding really good until he washed the front end in a corner one time, and he was taped to it and couldn't get off of it. It ground his shoulder all up, and we're all standing there. I'm not going to go get him. You go get him.
I mean, if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to take it. You know, it's like anything. If you want to put it out there, you know, I think you have to do that, or else that's pretty hypocritical.
Well, there's a lot of great Mitch Payton stories out there. In fact, in Racer X, one of our questions is, what's your favorite Mitch Payton story? You know, in a lot of interviews we do. So he's a great guy.
More stories to come, including who's going to win Moto number 2. Welcome back to Southwick, Massachusetts for the Suzuki Motocross 338 National presented by Scott USA, our Toyota Motocross Series. Let's go to Aaron Bates for the Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Well, we're used to seeing the prestigious green team of Pro Circuit Kawasaki up near the front somewhere. That definitely wasn't the case in Moto number 1. We saw all 3 of these riders, Grant Langston, Ryan Villopoto, and Troy Adams, pushing their bikes back to the pits with some sort of mechanical problems. During the break, I was able to catch up with Pro Circuit team manager Mitch Payton and find out what exactly had taken place. He said we had some mechanical problems, some parts broke. When I asked him what parts broke, he said just parts. But they're all back here on the line, regrouped, and ready for revenge for Moto number 2.
They'll always describe an unnamed essential part that failed, right, Ping, as we look at our Honda starting lineup?
Yeah, generally here at Southwick, when you got this deep sand, the very tough conditions on the engines, it's a motor part that goes, something in the bottom end, you know, definitely a motor piece. So, yeah, if she was up there pressuring Mitch about it, he doesn't want to say anything. She's lucky he didn't punch her.
Gate drops. Andrew Short, winner of Moto number 1, gets a great start into turn number 1, and the big scramble is on. Short coming up just a little short, one of the Yamahas. I think that was a 123 Brett Metcalfe out in front. And Josh Grant running in 3rd position, and here comes the dust in the sand.
Well, Josh Grant went into that second turn and just punked Alessi, put him over the berm. It's amazing Mike even stayed up.
Alessi running in 3rd position right now. 2nd place was taken over, but it's Metcalfe on the 123 Yamaha Troy entry.
As well as Brett's been riding lately and as comfortable as he is in the sand, this could be his moto to win. He's got clear goggles, a clear track, and he's got nothing but himself to hold him back now.
Josh Grant running in the number 2 position, change in the number 3 spot as well. Metcalfe, the Australian, making his home in California, out in front right now and riding like a wild man, trying to hold it together here on this rough Southwick course.
Yeah, you got to remember now, they've already had a motocross moto in between these 2 Lites motos. So by this point in the day, this track is a rough, twisty, mile-long torture device.
Grant Langston running in 4th position on the number 8, one of those who had a failure of an essential mechanical part in Moto number 1. Langston running well. There's the 124. We saw him shoulder first on the ground. Andrew McFarland, he's running 5th.
Yeah, Langston's a great sand rider. When he was riding the GPs in Europe, he lived in Holland, spent a couple years there, and there is nothing but sand in Holland. It's harder to find hard pack there than it is to find a good dentist. So he's comfortable in this sand. He's gonna make some passes and put in a good moto.
My fiance is from Holland. Of course, most of the country is under the ocean. So yeah, there's a lot of sand over there. Michael Alessi running in 3rd position, finished 2nd in Moto number 1. He's got his hands full with Langston right now, who's eager to prove something here, and that is that the Pro Circuit bikes can finish, and they can finish well on the podium.
And I talked to Langston before this race, and he said his wrist is still really bothering him. He was hoping that during the break between High Point and Southwick, the wrist would heal. He had a weekend off. You know, he thought with that 14 days, he'd make a lot of improvement. Maybe it would still be a little sore when they got here to Southwick, but he said it's still really hurting him bad, and it's kind of got him bummed out. You know, he wanted to be racing for wins, and instead he's frustrated because he's being held back by that wrist.
Well, you've got to be able to grit your teeth, and as a famous author once said, you got to play hurt. That's motocross racing in a nutshell right there. Grant Langston soldiering on, one spot ahead of the number 124, Andrew McFarland. And guys at trackside urging their riders to keep it up, keep it together, and see if you can't pass somebody.
Well, probably the most frustrating thing for Langston is that he's all but out of this championship. In Sacramento, he tried to ride. It was just too painful. He couldn't do it, pulled out, got no points that day. Went 4-4 at High Point, which was good considering the situation for him. And then in the first moto here today, he has a DNF, so that's 25 more points that he's down. It's like, you know, he's probably just frustrated.
At this level, there may be some consolation to trying to pick up race wins or even get on the podium for yourself and your sponsors, but it really is about a championship and about being there every week.
Well, at that level it is, and especially riding for that team. You know, you can see how fiercely dedicated Mitch Payton is. So when you're out of a championship chase, yeah, at least go out and get some race wins. And I think that's what he's going to obviously try to do all year long. But a contender like Grant, he's angry that he's not going to be able to win this title.
2 spots behind Josh Grant on the number 24. And Michael Lessie on the number 800. Everybody's kind of spread out a little bit. No real challenges for position right now. Part of the race where, as you said, you got to sneak up on the guy in front of you. You got to try to stalk him and plan a pass rather than just make it.
Well, in the second moto here, the track has changed so much. You know, these guys are going to constantly be looking for different lines, figuring out, okay, where can I make a pass now? The first moto, some of the lines they had aren't working. Now they're too rough because all the 450 guys have ridden them. So there's a certain part of this race where they're just figuring the racetrack out. And, as they get some good lines, they'll start sneaking up on guys and trying to make passes.
Josh Grant doing most of the obvious sneaking at this point, getting very close to the number 123 Brett Metcalfe on the Boost Mobile Yamaha of Troy YZ250F. Motocross Lites here. Josh Grant trying to keep the sand out of his face and move up.
And Grant's still a contender for this title. He's gotten enough points at each round that he's one of the few guys that's keeping Alessi in sight as far as points go in this championship.
Michael Lessie doing the best to conserve his and solidify his position. He's running third on the racetrack right now, is the points leader in Motocross Lites. Josh Grant, one of the contenders, on the number 24 Sobe Samsung Honda CRF 250. And getting closer to the leader, who is still Brett Metcalfe on the 123 Yamaha as we look at our Toyota leaderboard. A Toyota Motocross Championship by FMF. At Southwick, Massachusetts, Motocross 338, named for the American Legion post nearby. Your leader is the number 123, Brett Metcalfe, but Josh Grant has given him everything and more right now as laps start to wind down. Up alongside Josh Grant in a drag race. Next turn's a right-hander, and he's got the inside line. Is he going to be able to make it off the berm? They both park it, but Josh Grant comes out with the lead, or does he? No.
It looked like he was trying to be nice there and leave Brett a little bit of room, and it just cost him the pass. He had it made, but tried to cut inside, didn't use the berm to push Brett out, and he got passed back.
Oh, they're still exploring new territory here. As you say, this track has changed so much. They're finding lines every lap around the racetrack. So out in front it is still Metcalfe on the Yamaha with Josh Grant in number 2 position. And a real nice man-to-man battle going on here. It is a ways back to 3rd spot.
You know, maybe a more aggressive rider would have just taken him to the berm and made sure that he closed that pass off, did not leave him any opportunity to come back. But that's something Grant's going to have to kind of learn as he goes. He's still young, and he's an amazing rider. So he picks up on those little nuances. He's going to be championship contender for sure.
And here comes Grant Langston up on lap rider Charles Caslew from Texas. Andrew Short running in 5th position. We talk about consistency wins championships, and how early or how late in the season do you focus on championship points versus going for it out there to try to win races? It's always a juggling act for these contenders like Josh Grant, who's still in the championship title hunt, and of course so is Michael Lessie.
You know what it is? It's a balancing act. These guys have to get race wins. You know, it's 25 points for a moto win, and you need those big chunks of points. But for a guy like Alessi, who's the only guy who's finished on the podium in every round so far, he's been very, very consistent. You know, maybe he's at the point where he's already going, oh, you know, I don't want to crash and do something stupid. So it's tough to be able to go out, give it 100%, just charge the whole moto, and then not worry about, you know, being worried about a championship. And the guys that don't really have anything to lose are Ryan Villopoto, Josh Grant. They're not in the lead. They need to go out and win some motos right now. They've got to get that done.
But as a young rider like a Ryan Villopoto or a Josh Grant, it's got to be harder to pop yourself out of bed in the morning going, I really want to be consistent today.
No, at the end of the day, these guys are competitors. That's why they have these jobs. That's why they win races, because that's what they want to do. They want to win, period. And regardless of the situation, that's their goal.
Well, and here comes Grant Langston, a perfect example. No championship aspirations, or very few, we would have to say, and he's racing for position against Mike Alessi, who very much has championship aspirations and is the points leader. Who's going to come out on top of this one? Alessi has seen Grant Langston coming up behind him pretty quickly and has poured on the gas a little bit, but Langston is really charging hard right now, hurt wrist and all.
And these two have had their little spats before. Glen Helen last year, they got into a little battle. Alessi gave him a little kick going up one of the big hills, and later Grant cut the track, kind of passed him back. And so these two have a history together. It'll be interesting to see what kind of pass Grant puts on him, if any.
Josh Grant, number 24, also right there inside of the battle we were just discussing. And here is Josh Grant, though, who was up there in second position. Now he's definitely slowing down on this Honda.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if he hurt himself or if he's tired, something wrong with the bike, but you can see him definitely backing off, sitting down, coming out of that turn, so not sure what's going on there.
Three-way battle for position here. Andrew Short, winner of Moto number 1, is kind of on the tail end of it right now, but Grant Langston and Mike Alessi, we've seen this movie before.
You know, hard to say right now who's got this overall wrapped up if it ended the way it does right now. It looks like Metcalfe would, but you got Alessi, who's been consistent. Short's right there. If he moves up, he could get it. So it's still anybody's race at this point.
Well, we have to decide when to start doing the math for the overall. Right now, we're just concentrated on a battle for second position. And the number 29, Andrew Short, coming in there to make it a three-way fight. But he's got some ground to close up now, getting balked up a little bit by a lap rider.
And these guys are all fit. None of these guys are going to get tired and burned out at the end of the moto.
Langston makes a move. He's around Alessi, and Alessi is not going to come immediately back. As you've said many times, if you get past, try to pass right back again. But right now it's Grant Langston in the number 2 spot, and Alessi back to 3rd.
Wheel shooters, wheel rule.
Closing turns, moto number 2 in the Motocross Lites Championship here at the Suzuki Motocross 338 National. Grant Langston is really charging after the lead here, and you can tell he's got the bit in his teeth. He wants the top spot on that podium. Championship out the window. He wants a race win.
He's got absolutely nothing to lose here. He's already caught up to Metcalfe. He knows he's quicker, so a pass looks like it's coming.
Well, and we also got to start doing the math, because if Langston passes Metcalfe for the lead, that helps Andrew Short.
Yeah, it does. Right now, Metcalfe's got,
and there it is.
Not anymore. Metcalfe had the win if he would have stayed ahead, but now Andrew Short mathematically has the win. So Alessi's got to move up a spot if he wants to get the win.
Well, and Mike Alessi is pretty far back from these two in order to make that happen. So Grant Langston has helped the cause for Andrew Short, and his own, of course, by being in front right now. The race win could very well go to Grant Langston unless Metcalfe has something to say about it here. He can still take it back.
He could, but I'll tell you, Grant came from a ways back, caught him, passed him, and I don't know. I don't see Metcalfe coming back on him.
Well, the body language looks like Metcalfe riding much more conservatively. Grant Langston has got that go for it, wild and crazy Australian style happening out there. And the number 8 Kawasaki is in the lead. Of course, a definite heads up from Moto number 1 when all of the Pro Circuit bikes went out with mechanical. Langston's going to try to save some face here with a win in Moto 2.
And his fitness, he's admitted, it's not that great right now. He's hasn't been able to ride as much as he wants with his wrist, so it's surprising to me that he's this strong this late in the moto, but that's just how much heart Langston's got. He just doesn't matter if he's fit or not. He's going to make it happen.
South African Grant Langston around Australian Brett Metcalfe on the final lap, looking at Mike Alessi right now. And he's got, well, championship points lead. Maybe that's his consolation. But he's not going to win this moto, and you have to think Mike Alessi goes out trying to win every moto.
Well, I think he expected to come here to Southwick and win. He's got a little regimented list of all the races and where he thinks he can do well, the races he wants to go out and just, you know, finish consistently in. And Southwick was one he thought he could win. He lives in the high desert up in Victorville, California. There's a lot of sand up there, so he's comfortable in it. And I think he came here thinking, all right, I've got a good chance of going 1-1 at Southwick. I'll get good points. And maybe he's a little surprised by the speed of some of these other guys. I'm sure it's surprising to see Langston blow around him. And it'd be interesting to see if he's a little dejected at the end of the race, thinking he could have won. On the other hand, he made points on everyone he needs to make points on.
Grant Langston picking up the checkered flag here for the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. He's going to take the win. Andrew Short, on the other hand, with a 4th place finish after winning moto number 1, is going to be the overall winner here at Southwick. And for Mike Alessi, you have to wonder if maybe some memories of a year ago where he armored in pretty hard. Here's our Honda highlight. Take a look at the pass from moto number 1. Passes take a while to happen here at Southwick. And Andrew Short comfortably around Alessi.
Yeah, he nailed that pass, you know, just kind of crept up on him, and then when he knew where he was quicker, had a better line, flew around the outside and made the pass.
And in moto number 2, it was Grant Langston around the number 123 Yamaha of Brett Metcalfe. Another well-planned maneuver.
Yeah, Langston's, he's been around a long time. He knows how to get it done and just push Metcalfe outside. That was it. Metcalfe had nothing to do.
Take a look at our Suzuki results here. Grant Langston from moto number 2 over Brett Metcalfe. Mike Alessi, who looked like he might have been riding just a little tight this weekend, maybe put a little too much pressure on himself. That's just me guessing what might have happened. Let's go to Aaron Bates and find out.
Today was good. I was on the podium. I'm the only guy that's on the podium for the last 3 weeks, so I think it's good. You know, it's being consistent, and that's how you win championships.
Leaving the sandcastle fit and healthy.
Here are the overall results with Andrew Short going 1-4 to take that. 3-2 for Metcalfe. Edges out Mike Alessi with his 2nd and 3rd place finishes. Let's go to Aaron Bates with runner-up overall.
Your speed is increasing each and every weekend, but still you come here in the sand and you're able to excel. How do you make it happen?
I love the sand and mud, man. It's my thing. So I love this track. I love coming here every year. And this year I'm finally on, you know, a good bike and good machinery, 4-strokes, so it helps in the sand.
And we'll take a look at our Racer X hole shot from moto number 2, a man who we're used to seeing do this kind of deed. Mike Alessi on the number 800 gets out in front at the line.
Andrew Short having absolutely no idea that he actually took the overall win as he crossed the finish line. Andrew, you turned your luck around. You made it happen here at Southwick. What made the difference today?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I crossed the finish line like you said, and I felt like I blew it. You know, I didn't get a very good start, but I charged as hard as I could. A little bummed I couldn't get number 800, but I gave it my best effort, and either way I'll take it. It's a good way to turn my season around.
How often does that happen? You don't know you won until after somebody tells you.
Well, sometimes like that, when everything is mixed up, there's a lot of inconsistency. You don't know. I've seen stranger things happen, but that's good for Andrew. He needed a win. He's a great guy. And
he's 2nd in the points right now as we are now leaving Southwick and moving on to the rest of the motocross season. Many of these fans will be joining us, and we hope that you do too. For Aaron Bates and for David Pingree, I'm Brian Drever. We'll see you then.